He actually gave me some great advice, just because of like other things that I've gone through, after my wife's passing, regarding forgiveness. But he told me once that when when we don't forgive or when we choose not to forgive, it's almost as if we're telling Jesus Christ his sacrifice wasn't sufficient or enough. So every time I think about forgiveness, I always look at it in that lens. Like, I don't ever want to be able to be that person that says what Jesus Christ did for me, for that person, isn't sufficient. It's not enough. He gave his life, and for me to be stubborn and to hold on to this grudge, it just doesn't seem justified.
Today, I'm joined by Angel Chacon, and he shares his story of conversion to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after losing his wife in a car accident. I'm Samuel Law, and this is The Growth Apprentice. Welcome to the podcast. I'm glad to have you on today. Could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, my name is Angel Chacon. I'm a convert to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I appreciate you, Sam, for inviting me on.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on today. So, Angel, if you were talking to a 12-year-old version of yourself right now, and he was looking at where your life is now, what would surprise him? What would he be happy about? What would that conversation be like?
If I was talking to my 12-year-old self, he definitely would be shocked that I was telling him that we joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't think at 12 years old I've ever thought that I would do something like that. But I would definitely be telling my 12-year-old self that it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made for me and my children.
Yeah. And what makes that the best decision for you?
So to put it in simply is, I know when I joined the church, it was through hardship, you know, being brokenhearted. Unfortunately, my wife passed away in September 24th of 2023. We were involved in a car accident, and unfortunately, she's the only one that didn't make it. It was me and my two sons and my wife. Luckily, my daughter wasn't with us during the time of the accident, and the church changed my life and my children's life, and it just gave us so much peace and so much hope, understanding and knowing that this was just temporary, but that the church allowed and gave us something that would make it so that we could be together forever as a family.
Yeah. Do you think joining the church is one of the primary things that helped you through that experience of losing your wife?
Wait, can you dance with her?
I would say yes. I
Yeah.
would say it's basically, in my opinion, the best thing I could have done at the moment. So just to kind of give some context, I grew up and I was raised Catholic, and I started drinking probably like when I was 16, 18. I started partying and stuff. So I was always drinking, especially socially. Like, I would party. Like, that was just the thing. Like, there's a party and there's alcohol, I was gonna drink. And luckily for me, ironically, I quit drinking in 2022. So about a whole year and a few months before my wife passed away. And I did that out of other reasons of, like, I just got tired of it, and I just no longer see the point of participating in drinking or socializing in that way. So luckily I got rid of that vice, and it allows for me to not fall to those vices right after she passed away. Like, I think a lot of people in my situation, that would be one of the first things they start doing is drinking and, grieving with some kind of form of using drugs and alcohol. And luckily, because I've developed that discipline, I guess, of not needing to drink, it helped me. Because I feel like if I didn't quit drinking, I probably would have drank and I probably would still be drinking. I probably would have tried to keep drinking my pain away of some sort.
Was that hard at all? Do you think was there any temptation to go
The
back to
same circle.
alcohol as a vice or a means of comfort? Or at that point was the habit broken?
Of it wasn't for me, um,
Shoot him.
because I've already, like I said, I already went so long without it that it wasn't even something that even crossed my mind. Um, and to be honest, it actually was something that I told myself I couldn't do. Like no matter what, like it was non-negotiable for me. Like I was not gonna
Oh,
go back because I've came so far from it, right? Like not drinking for so long. The last thing I wanted to do is break that momentum that I've developed. Um, Even though like other family was drinking or whatever, it never crossed my mind 1 second. Especially because, like I said, literally like a week after my wife passed away, we had missionaries at my door, and I already began the process of talking to the missionaries, reading the Book of Mormon, and I got baptized 2 months later. So
chill in here.
me wanting to get baptized and join the church was like, drinking alcohol wasn't even an option
What if
at
you
that
could die,
point.
Storm?
Yeah. Was it what was the process like for you when you did quit? Because I know that's a hard process
Do you have
for
health?
a lot of people. It's gotta take a lot of discipline to do something like that.
Do you have health at all?
Um, for me, it was just a logical decision.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I grew up drinking. My wife also would drink. And so we would go out on the weekends and we would drink and go to the bars. Like it was like our way of getting a break from our kids, right? Because we had 3 kids. She blessed me with 3 beautiful children. And so on the weekends, we like to go out and we would drink, go to the bars.
No.
But sometimes on those nights, like if I'm drinking too much or she's drinking too much,
Yeah.
all it takes is for one conversation to go bad, and now we're arguing over something stupid, right? Or even worse, we're calling each other names or something simply because we're drunk. And so in 2022, I came to the conclusion that if I keep doing this, that I'm gonna eventually something worse can happen and we're gonna end up getting divorced and I'm gonna lose my wife and I'm gonna lose my kids over alcohol essentially. And at that point, if you look at it that way, I just don't see the benefits of it. I'm not gonna risk losing my wife and my kids because I can't, let go of drinking. So although I quit drinking, and I didn't quit with the intentions of like I'm gonna quit forever. It was like the last time I drank was for the 4th of July weekend of 2022. I believe it was July 2nd. And I got super drunk. And I just remember waking up feeling hungover. And I just was like, that's it, I'm done. Like, I don't want to feel like this no more. And what ended up being like, I'm going to just quit for 1 month, 2 months, ended up being something that I just never looked back. I just kept going.
Yeah. Do you think there's something that would be beneficial for, people like me who have never touched alcohol to never get into in the first place?
In my opinion, yes, right? I feel like it's unfair for me to be like, you should never do it because I've done it. So it's kind of feels like, well, you got to try it. But I'll put it like this, like I've drank and I've experienced it and I have 3 young kids and I would full-heartedly tell my children that I would prefer that they never drank in their lives. I don't see any benefits from it. If you truly look at it, all drinking does is actually cause problems. You can seriously hurt yourself, cause a lot of damage to your body, your brain. You can kill somebody in a car accident or driving under the influence. Like I said, it causes fights between families, loved ones. And, some people become alcoholics. And I just, if you start looking at it, I don't see how there's actually any benefits of it. I know some people will say it just makes things funner socially, but in reality, that's true. But what happens is you've been we've been programmed to only enjoy something because of the alcohol. So the first time I ever went to a house party, guess what? I drank. So now every time I go to a party, I feel like there has to be alcohol for me to have a good time. But in reality, if I would have went to a house party and never drank and I had fun, I'd be able to have fun without ever needing the alcohol. And that's essentially what I had to do to my brain is reprogram myself to go out in social places and enjoy myself without being under the consumption of alcohol. And that's kind of what I did. Because even though I quit drinking, I still would go out to the bars with my wife because my wife still liked to drink. And so at first, it was really boring, but eventually I got used to it and I started having fun and I started to enjoy it. I started to enjoy people's company without necessarily being drunk. And, but it is different to like enjoy somebody that's sober's company than enjoying someone that's drunk's company, right? Um, and yeah, so I would definitely say if I was you and you truly were asking me for my advice, that I would stay away from it. You're not missing out on anything special.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about how there's not actually any benefit to the consumption of alcohol. Do you look at other things in your life with that same mindset of, what's the actual cost and the benefit of doing this thing?
I mean, I look at now in my life, yes, I do. I would say when I was younger, I probably didn't. But yeah, 100%. Like now that I have the gospel in my life, I've been practicing the law of chastity. I haven't been with anybody, slept with anybody since my wife passed away. And the reason why I do that and I keep the law of chastity is because I no longer, um, just want to sleep with somebody just to sleep with them. Like, I want to have a family. I want to get married. I want to do things the right way. And most importantly, I want to protect myself from making my life more difficult. And that's one thing that I've come to realize is God's commandments aren't necessarily there to hinder my life or my lifestyle, but they're there to protect me from myself. And, if I went and started sleeping around and sleeping with multiple women, I can end up getting one of them pregnant. And now my life's going to be much more complicated because I'm going to have a child with somebody that I just met who I don't even know if I truly love or anything. And, you know, why would I want to do that to myself? And
Yeah. So about a week after your wife passes away, you start talking with the missionaries. Why was it that you wanted to have why was it that you wanted to talk to them originally?
so it's so what actually happened is we're we're all getting ready for my wife's funeral and burial. And they happened to come knocking at my townhome at the time. But me and my kids already left. And so my mom was there. And they started talking to my mom. And so my mom tells them, like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just in a big rush. This and this happened. My son, my daughter in law just died. And, she's telling them. And so they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll come back. And they showed up a few days later. And sure enough, I was home. And so my mom told me about the interaction. And I was like, oh, okay, did you tell him to come back? And she's like, yeah. And so um, I just wanted to talk to them. I found it hard to believe it was a coincidence. And I haven't told you this part yet. So my dad actually got baptized when he was 50. He's about 60 right now. So he got baptized 10 years ago. So he got baptized way before I did. And so over those years, in the beginning, he was kind of like super annoying, right? I was very closed-minded to the whole idea. I thought he was going through like a midlife crisis or something. That's why he was searching for something. And so I was kind of like very closed-minded. He was honestly very like pushy with everything when it came to the church. And so it was kind of hard to like listen to him. Um, but eventually he started planting like little seeds in my head, like how I should pray to Heavenly Father this way. Being raised Catholic, like we would just say Our Father or the Hail Marys, And he would tell me, no, you should pray to him like if you're talking to him, like, you should ask him and, talk to him like he's a normal person. So he would start planting little seeds in my head. And so eventually I was like, okay, like, oh, that's cool. He would start telling me about how families can be together forever. And it so happened we were all gathered at my mother-in-law's house at the time. And my dad was there, and then my cousin Lucas was there. And then my cousin Lucas gave me a blessing with my father. So right after my wife passed away, and my aunt Cookie, they all told me like, um, I know this is hard, but I want you to know that like you can be with her forever, like you can see her again. And so they were already planting the seed in my head. So like hearing them tell me about it, I was like, for sure, I wanted to meet the missionaries. Like I was already like, yeah, like let's do it. Like what could be more beautiful than that? And it's another thing too that helped me was at the Christian church that we were attending, because I don't know if I got to this part yet. I know you brought it up before we started the recording, but we were attending a Christian church before because I wanted to become a member of the church before my wife passed away. And she was not very fond of the idea. And so we started going to a Christian church because she was more inclined on being Christian. And so, long story short, I asked the pastor, what is it that, you know, we believe, or what is it that Christians believe happens after death? And he couldn't give me an answer other than in the Bible, there's a verse where Jesus is being asked by the Pharisees about if this wife's husband dies and then she's with the brother, etc. I can't think of the verse on the top of my head. And so he essentially just finished with he doesn't really know, that they don't really know. And so that kind of didn't sit right with me. And it became more and more intriguing for me to want to look more into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and their theology.
And what was it about the theology within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that drew you towards it? Was it the life after death, or was that the primary driver for you?
Um, I think selfishly, it was simply the fact that I wanted to be able to reunite with my wife. I think a lot of times, I think we as people, or as a person technically has their own biases, right? And so, or biases or selfishness. So, for me, for example, that was a no-brainer. Like in the beginning, keep in mind, like I'm barely learning everything, right? There's no way for me to learn about our theology, the Godhead, and all these different things that we believe. But for me, it was as simple as this. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is telling me that I can be with my wife and my kids forever. All right. And these other religions don't necessarily tell me that. What do I have to lose? If I join this church and I get baptized and I get sealed to my wife and my kids, and it's not true, I don't lose nothing, because regardless, the church is making me a better person. It's bringing me closer to Jesus Christ. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And it's giving me peace. But if it doesn't end up, so I don't lose nothing. But if it ends up being true, right? And they are correct, I gain everything. So to me, it was like, it's more of a risk not to even do it than it is to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Is there anything that you feel like you lost when you joined the church?
No, not at all. For me, it's been like such a blessing. My first calling was to be a young men's leadership in my old ward. Then after my lease ended, I moved back in with my sister, my brother-in-law, and my mom. So they helped me with my kids. And then here at this ward, I just got my second calling, which is to be a counselor to the Elders Quorum presidency. And so I've just been learning so much, and like it's been such a blessing for my children and my kids. And like we talk about my wife all the time. There's a picture of her right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but like we know she's on the other side of the veil. We have so much peace and so much hope. I was able to, forgive the kid that, caused the accident. Like he wasn't drunk, he wasn't on drugs. And it was such a beautiful thing that, because the court process is long. I didn't go in person to the court, but the district attorney kept calling me. He was like, "Hey, well, do you want to say anything? Is there anything you want to say?" And I remember telling just the district attorney, like, "Look, just tell him that we forgive him, that we're okay, and that we found Jesus Christ, and that we know we're gonna be with my wife again. No, he's young and he made a mistake, and we don't want him to, you know, think that we're angry, and we hope that he can find peace and he can find, Jesus just like we did." And literally after the court all finished, um, they called me back, and the DA is like, "Oh my gosh, that message was like the most, it was like the best thing ever," because apparently this kid was like on suicide watch this whole time because he felt so bad for what happened. And like I would just put myself in his shoes, like I'm pretty sure he never wanted or attempted or even thought about like harming somebody that day. He just was young and he made a mistake, and he was driving reckless. But there's so many things that I did when I was 16, 18. I just didn't get caught doing it. So it's just like to be able to forgive and to be able to do that for him was not only a blessing for me and my kids, but for him.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have done that without, the church and knowing the gospel and knowing everything that I know right now.
Yeah. Could you see yourself having been able to forgive him if you had not found the church and become a member?
I mean, it's hard to say. I'll put it like this. I've been, I've been in a car accidents before. It's kind of sucks to say, but when my son, Angel, my oldest, he was about 2 years old when we got hit in a head-on collision by I think he was a 40-year-old or 50-year-old man, and he was actually intoxicated, and he had heroin in his system. And my son broke his femurs. So my son Angel was like in a full body cast. And I remember after that, like I I had like no forgiveness in my heart. Like I was angry. Like I really wanted to like find that guy and hurt him. And I say all that just to simply put that I was about, I had Angel when he was 21, when I was 21. So I was about 23, 24. And when my wife passed, I was about 31. So I would say it's way different. I'm just a different person.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about that before of, people who have found the church and have grown a strong relationship with Jesus Christ. It's easier to handle stuff like that because it probably doesn't make it less hard, but I imagine that forgiving people is it's more doable when you understand more about who they are and what God's plan is for you.
Yeah. Um, and I'm blessed to have like, amazing family and my cousin Lucas, who's the one that actually baptized me, he actually gave me some great advice. Just because of like other things that I've gone through, after my wife's passing, regarding forgiveness. But he told me once that when when we don't forgive or when we choose not to forgive, it's almost as if we're telling Jesus Christ his sacrifice wasn't sufficient or enough. So every time I think about forgiveness, I always look at it in that lens. Like, I don't ever want to be able to be that person that says what Jesus Christ did for me, for that person, isn't sufficient. It's not enough. He gave his life, and for me to be stubborn and to hold on to this grudge, it just doesn't seem justified.
Yeah. Well, Angel, thank you for coming on today. If you could share, or I guess you could share, there's a chance right now to, could you share one last message with the audience that you think would be most beneficial to them and that you want to share with us today?
Um, yeah, I would just say, just keep an open mind. Um, Ask questions the same way Joseph Smith did. That's literally what got me here. I was asking questions. Trust me, I've went through the whole rabbit hole of the church history and I've been doing all my research, and I can say with full assurity within myself, within my heart, that this is the true church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. It's changed my life. It's changed my kids' life. And I don't know, I couldn't have it any other way. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful just to be able to have the knowledge that I've been able to gain. And I pray and hope that the Lord blesses me with more wisdom. But to be able to go to the temple, for example, like on Saturday, I went for Valentine's Day, and that's my way of being able to spend time with my wife and to be close to her, and it's just such a beautiful blessing. And I couldn't imagine my life without it. And I'm so grateful for the church. I'm so grateful for the missionaries. Um, so grateful for Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And um, yeah, it's just been a true blessing. And I think it's just beautiful that we have apostles and we have a living prophet right now, Dallin H. Oaks. And I just, I don't know, I couldn't have it any other way. And I've, I would think that when people see my kids, they wouldn't see kids that look broken, or that you would see them and think that they just lost their mother because of the church and because of what we know and what we've been learning. My kids are actually at Young Men's and Young Women's right now, except my youngest. He's here playing. And it's just been beautiful. I'm so grateful for the church, and I love going and do baptisms for my families and for all my loved ones. And um, I truly believe every knee will bow and everyone will eventually learn the gospel, whether it's here in this life or the next. And I'm just grateful that I was able to learn it here and I was able to be sealed to my wife and it's our forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love hearing that and thinking about how when I serve a mission, I'll be able to share that message even farther. Well, thank you for coming on today. This has been a pleasure to have you on and to hear about your story.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate you. And good luck on your mission, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.